But for these teams, they set themselves up for success.
100%, and one team is going to be chilling after this one as we get on into game number 1 of day 2 CLE. We got Wolves Esports versus Branching Out.
Yeah, and one thing to call out that I called out a lot yesterday is we do have matching Little Legends again, but not all the way across the board, which I am thankful for. Just within Wolves Esports, they're playing as the Wolf, which, you know, makes sense.
That does, actually. It's very on brand. I forgot that this little legend even existed, this wolf, but it's cool. It has a nice color scheme. Let me see Li Xiao walking around, emoting, really showing it to us, putting it on display, repping that Wolves brand. Love to see it.
And I think they all have to play Warwick as well. That would just make sense. And then Nasus too. That's it. That's the whole board.
Hey, even Riot agrees, right? The Warwick being dropped in that orb, right? Li Xiao definitely gonna put that on the board into no, probably not. But actually, that does bring a good point to the table of some early Frost openers. If you didn't get dropped to Center, right? We did see that have some success yesterday, and that's not something I think many people would have anticipated coming into the weekend. But there still are going to be more strategies today that we're going to see develop and see players kind of adapt to in real time, and that is a very exciting prospect for me.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're still figuring out in the early part of the set is what good openers look like, how you can save that HP that is so desperately needed in that stage 2, or get that econ as high as possible. And a few of those ways, as we see on board right now, is that Eldritch that just spawns that extra unit after your units on the board take some damage. That is really helpful and powerful in the early game, giving that extra health bar and some damage. But Crone, what are some of these other openers that you'd say are quite good right now?
Yeah, well, just if you want some good frontline, upgrades, if you get, a Zoe, Lilia, Poppy, that is a very, very good package. Gives a couple of good synergies. Zoe does deal very good damage if you get, a Nashor's, a blue buff, Shojin's on her as well. She can carry those Syndra items. You can also go things like Way of Portals or Shapeshifters. Those are still decent openers as well as multi-strikers, right? And there's some multi-strikers upgrades from Serain, obviously still going to be going the way of Syndra. But not fantastic items for Serain, though. Maybe we'll slay my Morellos, but really that belt does want to be a Nashor's Tooth at the end of the day. So we'll see what direction Serain goes with these item slams.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if he slams Sunfire. I think you'll wait to see your matchup so that you don't absolutely murder your opponent. But that is a Syndra 2 on 2-1 with Sojin plus open bow. That's pretty good.
Actually, yeah, that's very good. The best opener you can have in the game, but they took team building and just used the small champion duplicator immediately with a pair of Syndras to get Syndra 2. And as we know from yesterday, that is literally all you need. Enzo is already set up to go to level 8 and be in a game-winning position, which feels so crazy to say, right? But we know, and we can talk about Syndra as kind of elephant in the room, the outlier of this meta. Everyone is talking about it, right? Everyone knows it. The big question mark is, will Enzo find good enough frontline? It is seemingly good enough right now in stage 2, but how far is Enzo willing to roll down, say on 3-2, to keep this win streak going?
Yeah, I think the thing about Syndra that obviously is a little bit frustrating, but not the worst thing in the world, is because Syndra is so accessible to everyone. Syndra 2 is just a 2-cost unit that costs 6 gold to make, and is one of the most powerful units in the game, especially if you can get it in early, just like Enzo does here. Everyone has the opportunity to do that if they would like to, and so it doesn't feel unreachable. It doesn't feel like you can't contest it and take away that 3-star option. And there's multiple different versions of the front line, so everyone can play.
100%, everyone can play. We see Shelty here with an early Ziggs opener, a little Honeymancer package, just keeping the tier open so it still could go in any direction. They are very rich, however. They do have, some flexibility still open here.
Yeah, it looks like they might be wanting to play towards some kind of AP tree that we've seen so much, whether that ends up in the Karma or the Rise or sticks around in the Syndra that they're looking for. Or maybe we'll even, no, I was going to say see some Ziggs reroll, but that didn't happen. Instead, we upgraded that 1-cost champion to a 2-cost, and so now we have a 2-cost Tristana.
Yeah, wow. I guess that came through the way of Caretaker's Ally, right? Giving a copy of Tristana. is either that or Nunu, but probably just the Tristana there. The players are very rich here. We see actually a couple of players when all the augments popped up took silver ticket. So every few rerolls, right, you get a free one. Does work very well in the way of this 2-cost reroll, rolling so much on level 6 to get your comp online.
Can I tell a little story about that charm that upgrades a 1-cost to a 2-cost?
Yeah, go for it.
Yesterday I was playing a game with Scara, and you know he's in box boot camp right now.
Yeah.
And I was playing Zoe reroll, and I had just hit everything. And I was rolling, and mindlessly I clicked that charm.
Oh no.
And my Poppy frontline became a 2-star or 3-star Syndra, which you know I wasn't that mad about. That was a 3-star Syndra, but it was 3-1, and Scara was currently rolling down for Syndra 2, so he was not very happy.
3-1 getting a Syndra. That is absolutely crazy.
I went 6th.
Oh.
I don't know how I did that.
Wait a minute. Silly. Syndra 3 on 3-1? You went
It had
6th?
It had a Dragon's Claw on it. I don't know.
No removers? Gosh.
I got
Oh,
nothing.
no.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Oh well, it happens. Honestly, that just goes to show Syndra 2, Syndra 3, no diff. That was just
No
it was just a waste of gold. Ugh.
I guess.
Well, I guess it was just the charm there, but also, right, charms have that high impact potential.
They sure do. I mean, getting that early upgrade, that's a lot of extra gold in the bank. That's a lot of extra combat power just from upgrading that 1-cost 2-star to a 1-cost 2-star to a 2-cost 2-star is a lot more power. And so they are happy to do that here early in the game while they don't have a ton of these units that they're like, I can't lose this one, or I don't know what direction I'm going to be, so let me have this charm help me out.
Yeah, exactly. We see Siren versus Coco here. Coco, just some early shapeshifters, and of course, you know, the Syndra being on the back line there. Siren is relatively broke here, right? We see some players at 30, even 40 gold with YGQF, but Siren has not opted to level up to 5 post carousel, even though they already spent some gold on XP a bit earlier, but just trying to recover and catch back up in the econ department.
Yeah, it's looking like Wolves is playing a very first or eighth style, at least early in this game. Many of them, all of them above 20 gold, and many of them above 30, and 2 of them above 40. And so they are really pushing the econ thresholds here, but also contesting each other for these lose streaks. So it's an interesting strategy for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I want to bring this point up that we heard from Alan yesterday. I had asked during the interview of like, hey, we noticed that a lot of your players were going these early loss streaks. Like, is that something you prepared? And Alan was like, no, absolutely not. We don't want to have to go on early loss streaks, but if we just don't get offered some good stuff, you have to, right? You have to make the best out of a bad situation. So perhaps Wolves is unfortunately just kind of forced into that situation here, but it still is recoverable, especially having all that gold to roll down and recover at 3-2, which is very normal in this meta, so you're not going to fall that far behind if you do choose to go that line.
Yeah, and it seems to work out, right? Like, obviously you're playing as a team, but also TFT is a very individual game. You need to be able to play your game and play your spot. You can't play everyone's spot all the time, so you need to be able to play flexible in that. And that is where the best teams really do shine, because individual players coming together is what this is all about in this 4v4 format. And that is 2 Namis.
Okay, I like, that's good with an asterisk on that.
It's so expensive.
Like, yeah, exactly. That is the case. Like, you do want Nami in this comp. The perfect kind of level 8 board does feature, you know, Vanguards, 3 Eldritch, 3 Mage. You know, you slot in Vex in there with Galio and the Nami, but spending 8 gold on a pair of Namis, you're not even gonna have items for her yet, is, I don't know, it is concerning. I even think there's argument to selling one of those copies of Nami to make econ breakpoints.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if they do end up only buying one of them, because it's gonna be very unlikely that they'll get that upgraded until stage 4. You know, just looking at the statistics of that, but obviously that is quite a bit of a high roll to have 2 of those in one shot, but not that third one that you're looking for. Unsurprisingly, in stage 2, Enzo with the Syndra 2 on that 5 streak there at the top of our lobby, and probably will continue to streak for a while as long as that front line stays intact.
Yeah, definitely. From YGQF that we saw just a few moments earlier, they had taken out the Syndra that they had in the neutral round and put the Honeymancer package in, so looked like they were going to be re-rolling for that Kog'Maw. As we see Coco even, you know, screw a 3-2, we're gonna all in our gold on 3-1 to try to find some upgrades. And I think that's correct to stop here, right? Still making 10 gold is very important, even if you don't hit the Syndra pair, because you did hit the Mordekaiser 2 front line, which is pretty massive.
And Lee Shao on the other side with the Syndra 2. So we have at least 3, maybe 4 Syndra players in this lobby, all trying to play this line. Obviously, they can play the different front lines, the most popular ones being that 4 Shapeshifter or 6 Shapeshifter, and the 4 Vanguard comp with mages as well. So we will definitely keep our eye on who is testing one another. But once again, in this game, we have our silver augments coming through, and important decisions being made just to give some combat power or some early econ here for our team.
Featherweight's very, very good for the Kog'Maw reroll. That extra attack speed pays huge dividends here. But, you know, item ladder is something that we saw yesterday, and I was like, huh, I haven't really seen that augment clicked. I actually went into some games, you know, this morning before, after I woke up before the show, and I was like, okay, let me click on this augment, and it actually felt really good. So I think that is some consideration of a strong silver tier unit. Just, you know, not really the case here, as Featherweight's is just so good with these 2-cost rerolls.
Yeah, we're seeing the same exact augments here for Li Xiao. The silver ticket plus the featherweights just to power up these 1 and 2 costs on this board. This is an interesting variation that we're seeing here. Wukong we saw be a premier frontliner for a bunch of different comps, specifically early in the day with a Jinx composition, Jinx with Hunters. And so I'm curious to see if we will go that route with Syndra today, seeing if we can play around that 3-cost tank.
Yeah, 100%. That is a line that's popping up, playing the Wukong front line, re-rolling for that, while re-rolling for Syndras as well. But playing Preservers, right? And they help keep the whole team alive, and really that frontline Wukong feels like he almost never dies, right? You get a couple of gargoyles on him as that solo front take, all the Preservers healing him. He's just an absolute beast.
And we see now we were on board with the captain of branching out, Volterix, who's sitting right here in the middle of the lobby with 60 gold on level 5, rolling down a little bit. Interested to see that he is still on level 5, not something we see too much right now, because rolling on level 6 is just so incredibly popular.
Yeah, very interesting. I actually hadn't caught what comp Volta is running. So I'm not sure if it, okay, this makes a lot of sense, right? It was the 1-cost reroll going for Zoe 3, Lilia 3, and Poppy 3. We have not hit that very many Lilias or Poppies though, so Volta is gonna have to continue to roll for much longer.
Yeah, it's interesting that he has not had much success finding those, but I believe it's because he has the over-encumbered augment as well, so he wasn't able to hold all of these 1-cost Poppies on stage 2, but instead traded that power for items here, which obviously 3-item Zoe is quite good here in stage 3, but really needs to shore up that front line.
Yeah, 100%. The Zoe 3 items are, you know, kind of flexible as long as you have that mono generation. Blue buff is a little bit better than Shojin's, but Shojin's is still fun. But I think just having all of that power loaded onto the Zoe at this point is still going to kind of bridge that gap, allow you to get those 3 stars and stabilize, able to push levels, and you know, just find your endgame comp.
And I want to continue to draw our eyes back to Enzo, still at the top of this lobby, still at 100 HP on that 8-round win streak, with a lot of 2 stars on his board with the Vanguard frontline. He also taking featherweights to power up this board early, and is looking to continue to push this tempo.
Yeah, 100%. We see Enzo going to level 7 even relatively early. And I think this is a good choice if you can still make about 30 gold. And yeah, it looks like he's gonna be able to sell back up to 30 here, continue that win streak, generate it back very easily, and has some solid items, right? 1 good frontline item, 1 good backline item. Really would have loved to have a secondary Syndra, you know, item by now, but it seems like it is still enough. The next couple rounds might be a bit rough though.
And we saw some good team play happening there, not slamming items right away, kind of waiting to see who they were going to face. And so we see Saren slam all of the items possible here versus Padebo on the other side to try and kill as many units as possible. and maybe even take the round win versus this Kog'Maw board. The power up of that front line will be enough to take the round win.
Yeah, it is. Saren pivoted from Syndra into that casted multi-striker line, and it seemed like the level up, was not enough for Enzo to continue that streak. One item Syndra, 1.5 item, I guess, versus 2 item Syndra just made that difference.
Sure did. Enzo, though, did finally take a loss, so now has lost that streak after leveling and spending a lot of his resources to get to that level 7, maybe regretting that decision now with that win streak now gone.
Yeah, I suppose if Enzo is able to win this round, can just sell the Cassid and still make 40 gold, that wouldn't be too terrible, but still losing that streak does feel very rough with spending all the extra econ. And now going up against one of our Kog'Maw reroll players that Nunu very tanky the front line, but Kog only has 1 item so far.
Yeah, the items on Kog'Maw are quite important, especially in getting this composition to where it needs it to go. Being able to have a lot of that AD alongside that Sojin to make that cast do lots of damage is really what makes this comp run, what makes this comp work. And importantly here, Volta able to take that win here at the end of the stage to really help him kickstart his econ back up. And hits Lilia 3 now. Wait, and he has Poppy 3. Where did these come from?
Wait, what the? Oh, there was only 3 Poppies last time we were here, right? Like, I'm not crazy.
I'm pretty
there was
sure.
like 4 Lilias, maybe like 5 or something. But yeah, Volta just hit. Okay, sick. You love to see that. Having the Ahri to upgrade as well. This is the 5-unit package that is kind of perfect here. You get the 2 Arcana buff, and specifically with that Ahri, she powers units up with how many 3 stars that you have. So that is a ton of extra AP across this board. Volta is in a beautiful spot right now.
And now getting really, really good Ahri items, getting that blue buff and the red buff is quite good as well. This is looking much better for Volta now in this game. Leveling up, going to be playing more Scholar, possibly even 4 Bastion here at level 6.
Yeah, making a blue buff. Could be a red buff as well, like you alluded to. And yes, exactly, it is going to be that. Even the extra frontline item with that steadfast for the Poppy. And it's interesting in terms of, you know, itemizing either Poppy or Lilia. Apparently data suggests that they are very similar. Like, there's not too big of incentivization to, you know, itemize one or the other. It's just kind of whichever you hit first. And it seems like, yeah, Poppy was hit first, so that's what Volta started to itemize.
And on the other side, Li Xiao has Syndra 3 here pretty early in the game at 4-1. Having double Sojin plus that Rage Blade, so lots of casts coming from this Syndra 3. A lot of damage will be coming out. Not enough frontline quite yet to stand up to this Zoe and friends that is happening here for Volta. So continuing his winning ways, but across the way we see some of these crazy upgrades. Already on level 8 is Shelty.
Yeah, Shelty level 8 had a Camille. See, as the final augment of the game comes through, it is a gold augment. And it is going to be item collector, picked by Shelty.
It looks like we're playing this witchcraft route that we saw have a lot of success yesterday. But generally when it had emblems, I don't see an emblem on this board. And so not a ton of upgrades. So more of that chrono route with preservers, which I have not seen too much of Crowan.
Yeah, this is one of the more unorthodox, I think, lines to run around that Karma as the main carry. It does hinge on you getting a Camille relatively early, but Shelty has that, so you can go that direction. Honestly, sometimes the Camille is in there so you can slot in some 3 multi-strikers if you're playing a Callista dual carry. So my big worry for Shelty here is that there's not going to be enough damage in that Karma if Camille does get focused down because she jumps in, right, gets targeted, and it's just a Karma 1 in the backline left.
You know, I think I understand how we got here now. If you look at his augments, he took Recombobulator at 3-2, which upgrades his whole board up 1 cost. And so I imagine that's where these 2 5 costs came from, and some of these crazy frontline upgrades as well. Now able to put a board together, it is quite impressive actually, being in the spot where he's landed with an actual board that's starting to win.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, YGQF with the Kog'Maw reroll is not hit Nunu 3 yet, rolling it down every single turn to hit, and still not on 3 item Kog'Maw. There is that Cleaver though, which gives a lot of good shred, right? Last Whispers, and you consider on Kog'Maw, and Cleaver is just a better version of that. Meanwhile, one Nunu off for Potable as well.
I
Same
wonder
situation
where all your
here.
Nunus are. You guys have each other's.
Oh man, the story still continues true in today too, CLE, of if there's a Kog'Maw reroller one team, the other team has to have one as well. It just is going to be the case every single time.
Yeah, I was referencing the stats that Clement made for day number 1 of EWC, and Kog'Maw had one of the worst averages of all of these rerolls. But really, it's not because the comp is performing bad. It's because every time it's played, it's 2-3-way contested, and so no one can hit.
Yeah, it's at least 2-way contested. It's like 7-way grief. Like, it's absolutely crazy how this composition is just, you know, playing the sacrificial lamb kind of role amongst this EWC meta, at least so far. I think with that in mind, you might see players just stray away from it altogether moving into like day 3 and day 4 in the finals, but you also don't want to have just someone play it uncontested too, because they're gonna run away with the game. So it's kind of a tricky situation to balance there.
Yeah, that's one of the odd things that's kind of developing as we look at 4v4 as well. It's not that these comps are bad, it's just that they're reliant on their 3 stars, they're really top 4. And in a competition where everyone is looking to actively grief you, at least 4 of the other people in the lobby, it's quite difficult to actually hit what you're looking for to get that board to a spot where you can have that success in the late game.
Potable hitting Nunu 3, that's amazing. Couldn't have come any sooner, right? On a 6 loss streak, definitely wants to preserve some HP going into stage 5, right? Especially with contesting YGQF, even just one placement higher could mean so much for that team.
Yeah, and no Nunu 3 on this board with a little bit of worse items as well. Not a ton of damage items on this Kog'Maw, just some resistance shred plus that burn now. And the Syndra 3 on the other side is looking to put an end early to YGQF's day in this match. He'll be back next game.
Yeah, it might not be enough for lethal here. 13 HP might be enough to survive. We are just on stage 4, but no, actually it is going to be exact lethal need just to kill that one more unit. But YGQF being eliminated on 4-5, that's maybe the earliest we're going to see an elimination in this tournament.
Yeah, and Potable is not too far behind at 18 HP. Probably 2 lives unless you take a really bad loss as well, but has that 7 loss streak, no gold, has kind of hit his upgrades as well. It looks like they're just contesting each other, holding hands 7-8.
Yeah, Shelty, meanwhile, has stabilized 4 win streak, and I'm actually kind of surprised with no frontline items that Karma 2 has not been here for the whole stage, but still be able to make it happen. Potable is locking the Rumble, and yeah, like you're saying, it does have 2 lives most likely, does have the extra belts as well for some power on this board, so I think we're going to see that Rumble 3 come through.
Yeah, we'll definitely see the Rumble 3 be made here in the neutral round, but obviously losing 1 life is not ideal. You want to keep as much HP as possible. And on the other side, we see Enzo, who has had this Syndra stacking the entire game with that Sojin, still dominating with only no gold units on the other side.
Doesn't need them. Li Xiao taking a chunk out of Coco here. Coco going that Syndra shapeshifters, like you mentioned earlier, one of the popular kind of variants of this composition, is going to be able to level up to 8 here after the Raptors, play that Nasus, get 6 shapeshifter online, and have that hopefully be the power spike to stabilize.
Yeah, 6 Shapeshifter grants a lot more HP for these units when they cast their ability, and so that will be helpful, giving just more of that raw HP, but without some resistances added, it does fall pretty quickly to some of these units, like this Kog'Maw, especially if they slam this Giant Slayer on Kog'Maw. That will be a lot of raw damage going towards that unit. 3-star Rumble, nice. Hoping that it can make a difference in this fight.
Yeah, found a Lilia as well, which is huge because Lilia is an important unit in that composition to get Fairy and Bastion online, and finding that after leveling up towards 7. Big hit there. Volta, of course, our Zoe reroller, has been able to push to 8 and still has so much HP to work with. CLE, like that Zoe composition maybe lost 1 or 2 rounds in the past, 2 stages.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing super well. You able to use that tempo to get him to that level 8. Now slot in more Arcana units, which I think is an excellent way to cap out this board, possibly in the end game. But this is not looking good for Paze Bull. The front line is still standing strong, but those shapeshifters have something else to say about that. The Syndra spamming orbs and taking down Paze Bull. The AVP of this Kog'Maw comp is just absolutely plummeting.
Yeah, do you remember what it was yesterday? I didn't actually catch that stat.
I'll find out for you real quick.
Okay, yeah, because I imagine if I were to guess, before you say anything, it's probably like 5 something, or like, maybe high 4s, low 5s, I would imagine, but yeah, it's gonna go plummeting down here.
Yeah, it was played 18 times. It only top 4'd 22% of the time, and went 8th 11% of the time with an AVP of 5.67. That's
okay,
really bad.
It's even worse than I thought it was. I thought it was low 5s, so no, it's gonna be high 5s. And yeah, it is going down. Maybe we're gonna get to 6 of an average replacement here today for that Kog'Maw reroll, as we see Shelty take on Coco here.
Yeah, day 2, it's averaging a 7.5 so far here in our lobbies. So not a great comp to be playing here at EWC. But as we look at this board from Shelty, this recombobulator now into this 4 chrono board, we see this Camille doing so much work bouncing off the walls. That is crazy.
My god. Wait, that's like, an LCK Camille coming in right now, right? We're seeing some League of Legends players pilot this unit. That was absolutely nuts, just going dash after dash after dash, and that did make the difference. And ooh, a Briar 2 coming into play right now, and there's only tank items available for her. But is Shelty going to itemize this Briar? It is only 2 shapeshifters. She doesn't really have much going on for her besides just being a 2-star legendary.
Yeah, and not a ton of HP to work with. Not sure if they'll start feeding this Briar. We do have 6 shapeshifter now on board for Lakoko, who is kind of looking towards death here, possibly at the middle of stage 5, unless these shapeshifters have something else to say about it.
Yeah, the shapeshifters having so much HP. The Swain is tanking all of the Syndra cast. That Declaw is putting in some massive work right now. Nico healing does get taken out, but there's Declaws on both sides, and so now the Syndras found each other, and it's Nami versus Cassio, but the Zonias is enough, and Coco goes down.
Perfect lethal because of the 1 unit loss, and that is going to be excellent for Wolves here. Knocking them out in that 6th place means that this will come down to who probably will win this game.
Oh man, Wolves are going to need to get some solid placements here, because there's a big HP gap, right? Volterix and Enzo's both 70 plus HP. Meanwhile, 3rd place Shelty is already down at 30.
With this setup here, that does mean that branching out will have to go 1st and 4th. We will have to see a branching out victory in order for them to win.
Yes, branching out is set up for it, though, with how well Enzos and Volta have played this early game. Shelty has stabilized, right, with that unorthodox Karma 4 chrono board, but now Briar 2 kind of joining that fray. Maybe that's going to put a dent in either Volterix or Enzos, but we will have to see here as we get the cast and reroller going up against Shelty.
Yeah, that 40 HP lead that they've put on the rest of the lobby will definitely help them get into that top 2 situation that they really need. And so we see this here. The multicaster board that we have seen a little bit throughout this tournament so far, that's done a solid okay. The Kassadin, though, without QSS, gets CC'd quite a bit, and so will fall down to a lot of CC happening on the other side. Shelty still looking like they can put this run together, possibly to get Wolves that top spot.
Yeah, Serain living on 1 HP. and a dream for Lost Streak. However, not looking too good for them with the multi-strikers. Unable to get 7 multis online is a huge detriment to that composition. It just feels so much weaker with that in mind. Shelty, however, like we're hyping up, okay, did put a couple items on the Briar. I think had to reroll one of those frontline items because they were both tank items, but now there is one death cap. Whoa. Using a remover as well, maybe just to make themselves weaker. Oh, but it's gonna be yeah, fighting against Volteric, so gonna put those items back on immediately.
Ooh, put one of them onto this Briar too, which does make a ton of sense here, wanting to give some of that healing to this 2-star 5 cost. But as soon as we upgrade this Camille, you better believe that that will be the main carry of this composition. Having that 4 chrono is incredibly powerful, but this 1 cost Zoe is more powerful.
Yep, Zoe 3 putting in a ton of work. Looking at this fight here, Enzos wins. Serene goes down, so we have a bot 2 by both, you know, branching out and, or bot 4 between branching out and Wolves. So we still are in that situation where we need branching out to achieve a 1st and a 4th. Otherwise, if they don't claim that lobby win, Wolves will be the winner of game number 1.
Yeah, in a situation like this where both teams have 2 players in the bot 4, we just basically need an opposite mirror of what we're looking at. So we need branching out to get that 1st place because they have that 8th place. They need to get that 4th place or higher also alongside that in order for them to win. Or else Wolves will be able to claim this because of the advantage that they do have.
Yeah, and will it be Enzos or Volta kind of pushing for that top spot? Right now, it does look like Volta. However, Enzos has just leveled up to 9. This comp is going to reach very critical mass. We have 4 Incanter online, actually. A Tom Kench upgrade. It is still Nami 1, but with that Incanter, Nami's going to be doing a lot of damage, but moving some items over actually to that Karma. Zonia's, Morello's blue buff. This is fantastic up against Shelty. Really wants to take down Shelty right here, right now.
I mean, these are some great items on this Karma. 4 Incanter gives a lot more HP or AP per cast, and so that will be stacking throughout the fight, especially with that blue buff now. Lots and lots of stacks coming through and able to survive some of these crazy Camille and Briar things that are happening on the other side. But the Briar is quite tanky with that Declaw, but the Syndra has something else to say about that. The Karma alive in the background line is their last hope, but the Zonia's does proc, and will that be enough to get them through the fight? It will, but not take down Shelty.
Wow, Zonia's diff there. Huge swap over from the Nami into that Karma 1 for Incanters. Very, very powerful here. And the support golem as well, right? With that locket, makes that front line so especially tanky. Just 2 HP for Li Xiao and Shelty. They might just be out here, and it might be seeing branching out here take game number 1. And just Fieldmind says, wow, Shelty's going big here. What are they rolling for? Huge board swap here, but finding absolutely nothing. And I guess they needed to make something happen, but did not hit.
Yeah, they knew they were facing their teammate, and so I think they knew that they did not have the best chance to win this match, so completely sacking their board. I don't know about that decision of whether who was stronger or not, but not able to find that Camille 2 was probably the answer that they were looking for. Not able to put themselves in a position to win this game, so relying on Li Xiao to be able to pull out that win.
I would probably agree. I think that a Syndra 3 board would be the most likely to, especially not hitting the Camille 2, right? It's just kind of doomed, especially with how strong Enzo's got after pushing level 9 and how strong Volta is with, we didn't talk about it yet, but then RE3 with Fairy is on there. She has Fairy Charm, she has blue buff stacking up, dealing a ton of damage, but Li Xiao has to get 1st place here, right, for Wolves to win this game, but it is going to be a hell of a climb up this mountain of branching out.
And Enzo's put the items back onto this Nami now that it is upgraded with that Morello's and the Zonia's Hourglass, hoping that they can get all the way to this Syndra in the back line. The Morello's will help burn much of the field, but we see a very scary Nami on the other side that will be casting a ton with all of the mana items that they do have. The attack speed is ramping for both of these Syndras, and with it comes a bunch of casts as well. The front lines falls for Enzo, and Li Xiao able to possibly take this win here, but this Sonya's Hourglass is trying its best to pull out a crazy win, but that will not be the case here in this first matchup. Li Xiao setting themselves up well to be able to contest for maybe this top spot.
Yeah, 9 win streak for Volta, though. It's still going to be a very long way to go. Li Xiao has taken that first step, but there are many more if Wolves want to take game number 1. Get that stage 6 carousel coming through here. Just a couple more items. Enzo's getting redemption, which is going to be so good for this front line. It might have been the matchup difference. Could have been that Karma 2 upgrade that is lacking on that board. Li Xiao's Nami providing all that CC2 is so powerful. I'm not sure if Li Xiao is going to be able to do enough against Volta, though. 9 win streak, right? That's pretty insane.
And here's the problem for Li Xiao right now, is we have not chosen a charm. We don't have any combat charm, no econ charm to try and get that unit that we're needing. But it will be Volta versus Enzo here. But on the ghost fight that we need to be looking at, it is Volta's ghost against Li Xiao. Will he be able to beat this ghost board? I'm not so sure. There's too many gold units on the other side. The front line is falling quite quickly. The Rise casts, and now the back line from Li Xiao falls. And with it, branching out, take that game 1 win in our first match of the day.
Branching out in pretty dominant fashion, at least from the top 2, right? Pada Bull was put on Kog'Maw duty, but still won that battle, right? Which is an important one to win. And Coco with the Syndra Shapeshifters just kind of fell a little bit. There was other stronger Syndra players, other stronger comps in the lobby. And yeah, and so I was saying, all right, Volta, you can take this win, just full selling the board. You know, making the day go by a little bit faster. Appreciate you, Enzos, for that one as well.
My money's on the support golem. I think it's got it.
Sport golem
sure.
versus
3-star.
the tower.
It's 3-star.
Yeah, actually, what if Volta sold like whole board and it was just golem? I mean, golem would kill the tower, right? Surely.
Deja's got this.
That's no Deja.
Sure.
That's just a Galio doing a Deja impression in the back line. Maybe when he grows up one day, he'll become Deja.
I love these end game scenarios where, you know, clearly branching out has won, and so they're having some fun with it towards the end of this game. But this is the exact strategy we saw branching out do in the previous games we saw yesterday. They had lots and lots of players being able to get to that first and second positions to help them propel themselves into a spot where they're clearly taking the round win.
Yeah, branching out, having a lot of good success yesterday, a dominant series versus Geek, and now taking game 1 versus Wolves. And Wolves, right, number 3 seed from China, have a lot of very strong members, but branching out is really just saying, no, we are here to play. I think with that performance, they're looking strong to 2-0 this. Of course, anything could happen in the next game, right? TFT is a game of variance, and I always want to stress that, but I am very impressed by the squad so far. We talked to Volta yesterday about what they had in store, what they had prepared, and they're executing flawlessly. As we go ahead and take a look at the highlights from that game to see just exactly how they achieved that victory in such dominant fashion from Volta and Enzos.
Yeah, a lot of the highlights just include lowlights from Kog'Maw compositions, going 7-8 here in this lobby as they are holding hands, contesting each other's units. And so the bottom 2 spots are contested by them, but a lot of these top spots featuring one of the premier units of this set is this Syndra.
Yep, Syndra was at some point in the game being played by 5 people. YGQF, of course, went towards that Kog'Maw route. Serene did go towards the Kassadin route instead, but they just really didn't find success. The Kassadin was not able to make it into the top 4, but really it was Volta kind of hitting that Poppy out of nowhere. Yeah. I think we had saw just 3 Poppies, and I was like, oh, okay, Volta's not in a great spot, actually. Zoe 3 with 3 items is fantastic, but he's going to need to spend a lot of time on level 5, a lot of time rolling down to hit those big upgrades, but kind of hit it out of nowhere and use that momentum to propel himself into a pretty comfortable first place here. So very well done. A little bit of a high roll, I think, but still you need to play those high rolls well to convert them into first places.
Yeah, absolutely a great showing by branching out, knowing exactly what they needed to do to secure this win. And so Maybe we'll see them do the same exact thing that we saw in this first game and the second game, but I'm not so sure about that. I'm hoping that we'll be able to see a game 3 in this first match of the day, but we will take a quick break and we will be back for game number 2. We'll find out, will we have a game number 3?
I'm now joined by Volteux, who is branching out team captain. Again, very successful yesterday. Felt like you stuck to the meta. How have you reflected on your win?
I mean, we were confident on our last match because we knew the opponent has some problems in the meta, and they confirmed it. So we hope we could keep that for next time.
And what do you think of Wolves? We've just been speaking to them just now. They're very confident coming into this series.
They were playing good, so it's going to be a rough game. I think we cannot predict the result before we play them.
But you think you're going to win, right?
Absolutely no idea.
Just finally, before I let you go, how are you finding the experience here at the Esports World Cup?
Kinda good, to be honest. It's exciting to play there.
Best of luck. The winners' match is definitely one to watch.
Have you got what it takes to get to the top? It doesn't matter how high you climb. To reach the top, even the biggest champ needs a break. So you can recharge, dive back in, and dominate. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
branching out with the dominant victory in game number 1. Now heading into our game number 2 of match 1 of the day in the winner's match of Group A. Can we have that clean sweep that branching out has done so far in this tournament? They have not dropped a single game. Crowan, are you expecting that to be the case, or do you think Wolves has a chance to come back here in this matchup?
I definitely think Wolves has a chance to come back in this matchup, right? China has been well regarded as the beast of a region for a while, for a very strong reason, right? There is so much talent coming out of that region. I think every single China representative team here should be feared, right? But branching out just seemed to have a leg up on the competition, finding these very good spots where other players kind of are not, right? I think maybe not that many players from Volta's position would have gone for the Zoe reroll there, would have piloted it to as high of effectiveness, and so we're just continuously seeing kind of capitalizations a moment like that to take branching out from just being good to being very dominantly great.
Yeah, they are currently dominantly great, but looking to really make that statement going into these playoffs. If they are not dropping a single game here in the tournament, they may be one of the only teams to do that, and that would definitely be something that teams will fear going into those playoffs. And having the first team to be locked into those playoffs, that would be a great feeling. Just able to observe the rest of the day and then observe tomorrow those morning deciding matchers early into the game. And as we head into our game number 2, what will be the portal that decides this game?
Well, for now, it looks like everyone is on the same page, but we've seen players kind of swap it up last second from one of the teams. In the past, it looks like loot subscription is the choice for now, but yep, a last second gonna go completed anvil for all of branching out. I actually like that one too, personally. I think the completed items, if you get a very well, if you get a good tank item, great, you're fine with that as well. So you're not going to really have a lot of variance there.
Yeah, not a ton of variance with that item, and just helps bring the overall power of the lobby up a little bit, gives a little bit more direction in this early game, gets Syndra more stacks most likely. Oh, that is a lot of shapeshifters.
Yeah, okay, a couple witchcraft potential here too for Li Xiao. If you don't hit the Syndra early, Zoe, like I had mentioned in game number 1, right, is still a good early game unit. You can reroll her, right, but you don't have to. You can still just use her as a tempo style of play. Yeah,
a great Syndra item holder, as many things are in this meta currently. And I have a question for you, Crowan.
Sure.
We talked a little bit about how Team Wolves has to play all the wolf or dog units in the set. Does branching out every time they see it have to click it?
Honestly, I think yes, they do have to. They're contractually obligated to click the branching out augment, and that's one that I personally actually love clicking on when I have no direction. But if I already have a Syndra on my board and it's like, okay, branching out, and you don't hit one that goes to that composition, it's like, wait a minute, I just kind of wasted a silver to your augment. But maybe they kind of need that little bit of handicap, because they've just been so dominant so far in this tournament.
Yeah, it sure has been. Are you also one that likes to click that uncraftable emblem?
Okay, uncraftable emblem, the charm?
Yes, the charm.
Oh, wait, that's way too much gold, actually. No. I love my econ. I do not like clicking on that almost ever. Unless, I forget the name of it, but unless I get that augment that you get extra, you get an emblem per stage, you get extra HP for every augment or for every emblem that your team holds, and if I'm very rich by that point, then it's like, yeah, okay, I'll click on it then, but literally no other situation, or almost no other situation will I click it.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely 15 gold is a lot, especially when you might just get totally griefed.
Yeah, it's just throwing gold into the void, and gonna be some gold that's gonna be gained here, it looks like, no matter what augment is picked. Young, Wild, and Free AFK. And it is going to be Young, Wild, and Free. Cole gets a couple gold from that, but you really do get optimal value when you are fully win streaking, because being able to save HP and get first carousel pick, yeah, that's pretty OP for a silver augment.
Yeah, and another silver augment that's pretty OP is this re-rolling inducing silver ticket. I want to talk a little bit about the system changes that came into place that are really affecting the way this set works and influencing the re-rolling potential of these compositions. having those rerolls stay over from round to round is something that has not been a part of TFT in the past, but really helps a lot with saving up those rerolls for when you need to have that big spike.
It's a really, really good quality of life change. I love that that is a thing now. Being able to save rerolls to use it exactly when you need to, when you want to, and you have the econ to, everything like that is just so much nicer feeling as a reroll player. And in this meta that reroll is going to be so dominant, it is a very, very good augment, right? I remember silver ticket stats in previous sets, they looked far worse than they do right now, but it is looking, you know, sitting pretty at a 4.3 right now for being picked at 2-1. It's even better actually if it's picked at 3-2. So a very solid augment to click in this current meta.
Yeah, something that is just, it's also just fun to play. I love pressing that D key, rolling it down, and seeing all the shops that are possible, because, you know, that's the little bit of the gambling aspect of this game. What will the game show me? What will I be able to click on? And for Volta here, he's looking to click back on this Zoe unit with these items, with the Poppy and the Lilia already, and Static Shiv slammed. This is looking like he wants to run it back.
Yeah, actually, it makes me laugh so much, you know, referring to that kind of gambling aspect. It's like, oh, pressing the D key, what am I going to get? Am I going to hit all my units or not? And, you know, if I can have a quick aside, you know, I had a friend who, like, used to gamble, like, you know, a little bit too much. And I started getting him into TFT, and he has not gambled since. He said TFT kind of scratches that itch for him.
Hey.
Pressing that D key is really, really addicting.
The gambling anonymous meetings happen on the TFT Discord servers. So, you know, it's the great place that we all come to scratch that itch.
Exactly, right? Pressing D, man. There's just nothing that hits quite like it, right? When you hit those 3 stars, get those gold units online, it's like, man, yeah, that's just some insane dopamine hit.
we need some kind of doctor to do a report on it or something. That'd be really fun.
Yeah,
I would enjoy
to
that.
study TFT players. Oh gosh, I'm scared of what that report will bring. Actually, TFT players do need to be studied, though. It's probably for the benefit of everyone.
Oh yes, just for science purposes, for sure. But going back towards this game, looking towards our first carousel, we have many of our players having lots of unslammed components, so really hoping that this carousel can help them do that. Lococo having the Young, Wild, and Free, able to get their first choice of unit and item here, which is quite powerful. Crowan, why don't we talk a little bit about why that is?
Yeah, for the Young, Wild, and Free, right? If you're able to, you know, just get an early good tempo board in your top of the standings in HP, being able to complete items exactly when you want to on that carousel, exactly the item that you've been preparing for, is going to make it that much easier to continue your win streak forward, right? And this is actually not an item that I think Coco is going to want to slam with that Gunblade, right? But it is going to want to go on Kog'Maw eventually, even if it is like, you know, a Deathblade, a Giant Slayer, something like that, right? So Coco is setting himself up for that Kog'Maw line. I don't think is necessarily has to be committed yet, but okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay,
wait,
that polymorph hitting into a Kog'Maw 2. It does have that even shroud on it though, so that is a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I love the positioning that's happening here. Positioning it kinda in the front line just so you can get that shred off on one unit. But this is gonna really help keep his HP high, which we've seen be a big problem with this Kog'Maw reroll board, because you just can't hit what you need to early enough in the game. So getting a couple wins here on stage 2 is quite helpful. But looking across the lobby, we're seeing a little bit of a different strategy come to fruition in this game. Wolves has now flipped the tables and now are sitting on top of this lobby with 2 win streakers. Yeah,
Wolves having Li Xiao and Serene both on that 4 win streak. Meanwhile, YGQF and Shelty on a 3 loss streak, while Enzo is going for that full 5 loss streak there, right? Still getting +2 gold econ is still important, even if it isn't the +3 that we've seen in the majority of TFT's past. Serene, wow, Galio 2 has Portal online. No real good backline items, but 2 TGs is still a lot of power at this point in the game.
Especially if you can get that lucky gloves later in the game, or some of these other augments that power up those TGs. This could be absolutely insane. But for bad news for Wolves, The win streakers are fighting one another at the end of this stage, so only one of them will continue on with that economic power.
Yeah, only one will be able to. It's looking like that Galio is so tanky, but Li Xiao having that Nico frontline capabilities, 2 very strong items on it, and Zoe, right? She's going to be dealing a lot more damage than this Ezreal on average. Li Xiao taking out Serain there, which actually is probably better for Wolves in general, because Li Xiao only has 20 gold, whereas Serain has 30, so they're going to be more even setting into stage 3.
I think another thing to point out as well is just the power that items have in this game. We see Li Xiao really taking that win because of the extra item from Item Ladder. Even though it wasn't a great item, just able to give Zoe that little bit more power that was needed.
Yep, just a little bit more, as Enzos was able to continue that 5-loss streak. Shelty on a 4-loss as well. Enzo, a player that had a very early Cinder 2 in the last game. Here they are no such spot. In fact, they are going for this Caston multi-striker line. Have 2 Castons, have 3 multi-striker online, and wow, that's just 3 items for Caston already. You get that Rage Blade, you get that Quicksilver, even perhaps a Sterix for the Akali when Enzo rolls down to hit all these upgrades next round.
I was just thinking he's set up well for that duo carry as well, with perfect items on this Kassadin, a great item for your duo carry in the Akali. This is looking like a pretty good spot for Enzo if he is able to hit uncontested.
Yeah, Conjure Emblem being the charm presented to Enzo, and Enzo also does not like clicking this because it's 15 gold. Like, who's gonna spend 15 gold on stage 3 for this, right? Like, it's just almost unfathomable.
VGQF does not want it either. It is in their shop as well.
Wait, that's crazy.
But not quite wanting to go with it. But here's the problem. We are contested on the Kassadin line. Not that anyone's surprised, but that is the reality of this game here on this first patch, especially in EWC. It looks like maybe somebody's on grief duty every game.
It really does seem that way, because I think I understand why. If grief duty is not happening and that reroller just runs away with the game and they have so much tempo, that's gonna be a likely first place, and you don't want to just be handing free firsts away with how powerful they are in this format, right? If you get first place, it really, as long as some of your teammates you know, 3 of your teammates didn't go bot 4, it's so strong.
I think Volta might actually be playing Vigar reroll, which would be very interesting to keep our eye on. A lesser duplicator here for Lakoko is quite good, but still having that Kog'Maw in the front line is pretty awkward.
So it's awkward for a little bit. I think Coco can get bailed out if they find a third item for Kog'Maw, bench the Even Shroud Kog'Maw, get that tier 3, and that Even Shroud will pop right off. You can place it on the Nunu or Blitzcraker, whoever you want, a bit later. But unless he finds a remover, right? Those are the 2 conditions to get that item off of there.
Yeah, and in this set, there's a lot more access to removers and reforgers and these type of things as well to be able to get that off of that unit. But just haven't hit that yet that they're looking for. Want to be able to keep those Kog'Maws in, and obviously it's a strong unit. Able to keep a 2-star upgrade unit in the board is always a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of funny seeing that Rumble 1-star with double Wit's End with that Blacksmith's gloves, but putting in work in that round, just like Potable Cinder's putting in work versus Li Xiao in that round as well. No mana generation item, but a ton of attack speed is all that Syndra needs.
And we are on board back with Enzo, who does have that Kassadin too, but only 5 copies. While upgrading everything else on the board now is quite good for this board. Hopefully stabilizing them with that multi-striker crest. Now able to get to 7 multi-striker pretty quickly, especially now that they've found this Hecarim in shop as well.
Yeah, they're actually playing the Karma on board for now, which is interesting, right? There is the multi-striker emblem. That is a big commitment. Just playing it for the 2 Chrono, I suppose. Buffing across the team. Gunblade Slam on that Neela for now, as she has the multi-striker emblem. She's going to be pretty powerful at this point. In 3-item Kassadin, right? It is getting targeted by the Syndra, but it's still doing a lot of work.
Man, one thing I'm learning from casting this tournament is the items on Casting are way more flexible than I thought.
Yeah,
Slamming
agreed.
that Gnasher's Tooth seems to be quite a popular thing for this composition. Just able to give a lot of attack speed and AP through that item, but not the ramping attack speed. Just using those multi-striker procs to do as much as possible throughout the fight.
Yeah, Crown Guard, another item that we've seen have a lot of success on Kassadin. At least, players are willing to go in that direction as we do get into our stage 3 carousels. Like, to check in with where everyone's at in this lobby, we actually don't have that much Syndra. I think there's only 2 Syndra players it's looking like here, between Pada Bull and Shelty.
Yeah, 2 Syndras, 2 multi-strikers. And then past that, it's a little bit unsure. Saren could be playing Syndra as well, just has Shapeshifter frontline with this Ezreal. But Lococo and Volta both kind of on this Bees frontline. One playing Kog'Maw, and maybe one even playing this Vigar line that we have not seen in all this tournament.
Actually, that's a good point. Maybe for the first time this tournament, we're going to be seeing Kog'Maw reroll uncontested. Like, sure, some of the front line will be contested, but Kog'Maw not being contested is going to be a first.
I do want to correct myself. We have seen Vigar reroll this tournament. We've seen it twice, and it's gone 8th and 7th. So maybe Volta can up that AVP a little bit.
Yeah, 8th and 7th. That sucks. Maybe don't be clicking on that Vigar unit. That is pretty not good. But you know what is good is this board here from Shelty. Wow, that is a 3 strong tank item Mordekaiser frontline and 3 very strong backline items on the Syndra. Not quite perfect with that death cap, wanting to be more attack speed, but still, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I know Death Cap is argued to be one of the best third items on Syndra here. Just the amount of raw AP that it provides really helps you get through that mid game before Syndra gets all of the casts and stacks up. Also, 6 Syndras on bench, and so, okay, this is good. This is good news. We did not end up with Vigar. We instead went for Karma, which is significantly better.
Yeah, it was just going to be that item holder Vigar, as we take a look at all of the gold spent on units throughout the game and XP and rerolls, right? We see a lot of that number from Shelty with all the gold spent on units, it seems like.
And Volterix has not rerolled a single time, as we saw on that graphic at the bottom. Level 6 with 69 gold still, not even level 7 like much of our lobby is. It really looks like Wolves is pushing the tempo of this lobby with both gold and levels here, having level 7, 50 gold for multiple of their players. And on the other side, we're seeing a lot of the battles here between branching out.
Wow, yeah, that Kog'Maw from Coco is still just a Kog'Maw 1 in the back line, and they're on 0 gold, so that's really, really devastating at this point in the game. We see Serain go on a 4 loss streak into the Wolves. Does find a Karma, though, and that's exactly the unit that he was looking for.
Yeah, the Karma's going to be super helpful. Double Morellos, as far as item components go, is not the most helpful, but hoping that they can find some of these tiers that they need in this neutral stage. The Coco still not having a ton of these copies of Kog'Maw, but for VGQF, not quite sure what their game plan is here. 12 gold only on 3-7.
Yeah, they were running multi-strikers. Yeah, not a ton of Kassadins, but they have rolled a very, very deeply. They are going to be looking for that Akali 3, but even that's still pretty far out, right? It is being contested by Enzo, and Enzo has had much more, copies of that Kassadin. There is the lesser champion duplicator, so just needs 3 more, but 11 gold on 4-1 is extremely low.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they just really want to keep their streak and then bleed out is what it looks like. Grief, Enzo, and on your way, maybe squeak out a couple of placements as we see that mirror matchup happening on the other side. All items slammed here for VGQF, really understanding their spot, knowing that they're not going to hit the power spikes they need with the 3-star upgrades, but instead just need to stay alive as long as possible, keep that HP up. And it doesn't look like it's going to work out in this fight even. The loss streak has already started for them.
Yeah, and so in a little bit better position, at least currently, getting that round win. And exactly, they're both just being like, all right, we're going to make sure the other person doesn't run away with the game, but there's no way that either of them will be able to contest a first place. It's just going to be, do I beat my opponent who is going for that same reroll strategy, right? That AVP is the name of the game.
Looking at our third augment choice of the
go.
game. Oh, there's a lot of Kog'Maws coming through here. Still no remover, so that item is now just sitting on the bench, which is not ideal for Lakoko here. But having a good enough amount of HP to continue to work with, but the gold is the problem.
Yeah, another problem is there's not a full third item to slam besides the Shojins. And that's the only way that using those duplicators can pop off the Even Shroud. So double Shojin Kog'Maw. Haven't really seen that one in the statistics quite yet, but we get a chance to see just how much work it can do. But the front line, Sealy, the front line is still very, very poor for Coco.
Yeah, I mean, we need to upgrade one of those units at least. This Zhonya's Hourglass will help a little bit in this front line, just helping drop aggro for a second. The Sojin is making this Kog'Maw cast a lot, but on the other side, we see that 3-star Syndra coming through already here in the game. And wow, this is not looking too good for branching out in this game. Wolves is looking quite strong.
Yeah, Wolves is sitting at the top of the standings. The HP is still pretty close. However, Li Xiao and YGQF just, 5 HP separates them, and Voltairix with Shelty just a couple HP less than that. But Serene, this is a big roll down to try to find some important upgrades. There's still just Karma 1, still just Nasus 1. Enzo, so many copies of such important units. There is that Callista on the bench as well, the Ashe in the shop that is needed to get 7 multi-striker online. Enzo cannot afford everything right now, needs to even win this round to afford that Ashe, and it's a big deal actually just to get that one cost unit.
Yeah, I mean, and this looks like a pretty good fight for Enzo here. Not a lot of frontline upgrades is exactly the matchup for multi-strikers. That looks quite good. If this Kassadin can get through this front line and onto the back line, that is where the trouble happens and the multi-strikers really shine. But now it's just Kassadin versus the world. But thankfully, 3 items on this Kassadin should be enough. Oh, the CC coming through right after the QSS ends. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Wow, 2 unfortunate things happened there. With the Spectral Cutlass, Neela jumping into the back line, she actually got CC'd and taken out. And then the Kassadin fell to the exact same fate. That is a fight that if you, played multiple times, it would usually go to the multi-strikers board, but just getting a little bit unlucky there.
And continuing to look at our leaderboard, we're seeing the story unfold. Wolves here in the second game are really pushing the tempo, and everyone has spent their gold. There's only one person above 10 gold here on stage 4-4. This game's tempo is incredibly high, and so everyone will continue to probably roll to 0, but we see 2 giant upgrades come through for Enzo. Lots of golden units now, and now eyeing that level 7 to put in 7 multi-striker.
Yeah, the positioning is a little bit awkward, right? Because oftentimes you would want Neela to get into the back line, but it is going to be keepers. So you want to make sure to bunch those units up, get that shield value, as it's going to keep all of them alive just that much longer. YGQF still level 6, has not hit very many Kassadins. This is looking very, very doomed. However, they have saved enough HP to perhaps dodge a bottom 2 placement.
Yeah, and it's crazy that Enzo's been able to hit as much as they have. Obviously, they've paid HP for it and saving their gold and waiting patiently for the units that they need. But for YGQF, they rode that win streak early in the game through stage 3. But now we're seeing that kind of not work out for them. Enzo, though, still taking that loss to the Syndra 3, even though they hit all of those upgrades.
Yeah, meanwhile, Branching has to be careful because if 3 of the members go out in bottom 4, that is just an automatic loss. There's no way, even if Voltairix up there at the top gets first place, for them to win the round. The HPs are still close besides for the bottom 2, however. Potable and Enzo on that 3 loss streak. YGQF, though, 4 loss streak. It's very, very hard for them to come back. Enzo did hit those big upgrades just a round ago though, so hopefully going to be turning this around here as we have one more combat until the neutrals, going to be going up against that Kog'Maw reroll.
Hopefully this Neela can absolutely delete. Wow, that's so much damage.
Big damage.
Neela, but does fall down to the cast from the Kog'Maw. And now the Kog'Maw is untouched there. The Kassadin trying its best to get through the fight, and it will. So they will be able to continue to raise their HP in the lobby. But will that be the same for Pase Bull here with this Syndra with just attack speed on it? Does do enough to beat YGQF.
You don't need mana generation if you just have attack speed, right? Attack speed is mana generation.
Yeah,
That is
right.
good enough. Oh boy. For Enzo's Neela though, that is 2 fights that we've seen now just being sent into the backline, get 1 cast off, and then taken out immediately after. It seems like the Spectral Cutlass is almost doing more harm than good, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Spectral Cutlass, though, is a very interesting item. It teleports you to the exact hex on the opposite board on that side. And so it is a very interesting access to the backline that is not very popular in this set, or very present in this set, outside of some of those units and a charm.
Okay, Coco actually got gifted a couple of new news from the orbs, and ooh, Artifact Anvil. Is that worth clicking on? If you get a strong new item, it might be worth it. However, it's so much gold investment. Oh,
Yeah.
Looks like actually they're selling the new 2 just to pick that up, level up for the Lilia. Light Shield Crest, maybe we got, you know, not great items here, however, though.
Deathfire Grasp is not terrible either. It is a little bit helpful, but obviously, yeah, we'll go with that Light Shield Crest. That will be very helpful. Now having a 3 item on this Tristana as well brings the power of this board up significantly with that duo carry. Li Xiao on the other side, though, is quite strong with a lot of these 4-cost upgrades in the front line and in the back line with that Callista, who is just absolutely firing away at Lococo's HP bar.
Yeah, winning that fight with the Callista, very healthy, and that Rakan in the front line too that we saw. Shelty, level 7 on a 9 streak, right? This Syndra 3 doing so much work, and now that the Tom Kench is upgraded, that is so much more frontline power. There's a Rumble 3 that Shelty ended up rerolling for alongside the Syndra as well. So not only is that good for this board, but it is also denying the Rumbles away from Coco, right? It was 1 away from that Rumble 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate to see come through for Shelty if you're Lococo. But if we look across at our leaderboard now, it's all changed up a little bit. Now YGQF is staring down that 8th place. We kind of called this out earlier that was going to be a little bit of the game plan for them. It was just to grief Enzo, who is now on a 2-round win streak and making a big comeback.
Yeah, and so hit, and YGQF didn't take another big loss, and that is going to be it. 8th place for the Wolves here, as Coco, you know, next one on that chopping block. 2 losses in a row, but Serene tied in HP. No, does take a loss, however, and drops even lower.
No.
Oh, they're still tied with 11 HP, though. 1 life remaining for the both of them.
And this is all of a sudden looking disastrous for Wolves once again. If you go 7-8, that means you have to go 1-2 in the lobby. And Shelty, though looking good at the top of this lobby, will Li Xiao be able to clutch up and get one of those top spots? But will Saren be able to outplace Pade Bull in the bottom of this lobby? Lots of things to keep our eye in as we head through the middle of our stage 5.
Yeah, Serene with the Karma board, Pod Bowl with a Syndra style of play. We see Serene here just on that Karma 1. The front line is good, however. Briar 2, is she enough maybe to turn the tides?
Briar 2 is a huge unit. The amount of CC that comes through, the amount of damage and sustainability as well. The Karma, though, is ramping up throughout this fight with Incanter, and this front line for Serene is quite strong, having that Nasus 2, but the Callista taking it down finally, but will be able to get to the backline in time. It does not appear like it might.
Ooh.
So Karma able to take the win. Li Xiao, importantly, taking a loss there to their teammate, but Lococo taking a little loss to their teammate as well, but everyone stays alive.
Yeah, I don't think Coco is very strong with that Kog'Maw reroll, right? Not being on Nunu 3 is a huge detriment to that board, so dropping in this next round might be likely. Serene and Potable both hang on. Li Xiao drops to potentially 1 life territory as well. Meanwhile, Shelty and Enzo both up there at the top, but Shelty's the only one that has that big HP lead, and Wolves need to maintain that, especially with YGQF going 8th. But these next couple of rounds, Celia, are going to be very important for both teams.
Oh, and that is a
dragon.
very important charm. That 4,000 health dragon does a lot of damage too, alongside that giant health bar. And with Keepers, gets a giant shield with it too.
Yeah, exactly. Another just unit on the board to get that Keeper's value. It's not protecting any backliners, right? It is just going to be mostly the damage, but if that dragon's the last thing left alive and you win the round, hey, a round win is a round win.
Yeah, that's 4,000 more health to have to deal with. And for Lakoko versus Serene here, this is the battle between who will go 7th and who will go 8th. Will it be the Kog'Maw player, or will it be this fast 8 Serene board with only that Karma 1? They desperately needed that upgrade. The Chrono pause does come through. The front line is falling for Lakoko, but the firing away of the Tristana and the Kog'Maw is quite strong, and it's going to come down to the wire here, but the Karma will do enough. And Lakoko dropping out here in 8th place is very notable. But Padebo also staying alive, and Volterix dropping in danger.
The frustration on Coco's face. That round was so close, just coming down to both carries left alive at the end. Would have been very strong to send Wolves out in 7th and 8th place. Meanwhile, Volta, you know, that Golem having the gem. Now the Morgana as well with the red buff in the backline. There's a lot of good things here working with that board. Volta scouting it out, but that last second swap over, the Karma to the frontline upgrades, and going up against this Callista.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very difficult fight, but does have that Fiora too with really good items on the side for a TG. The Karma, though, firing away. The Nasus has ascended, but the front line falls very quickly without true tank items on the side of Volta here, and it's just going to be too much. Li Xiao will take out Volterix here at the end of stage 5, and this could be disaster. But Serene also falls out. Who will be more dead?
Oh,
the tiebreaker. Oh, Padebo also.
Potable also? It looks like Volta actually goes 6th there. -5 HP on both of them. But 5th and 6th, we are in the same exact situation, right? As last game? Or is it different, actually? Yeah, no, it's same exact.
This is the same exact. Yep. And Enzo is in an excellent spot to be able to take the game win as well. We see the 6 win streak coming into stage 6 with these multi-striker upgrades is huge, and now being able to go level 8 and possibly get that 7 multi-striker in that we've seen be a huge spike for this board.
Oh yeah, actually that's gonna come into play in just this next round, right? They have enough gold to do so. They do get a champion duplicator, however, and they're on 2 lives, so the Callista 2 is just gonna be there for free. I actually really like this play from Enzo. They could have pushed into level 8, just played a Callista 1, but they need this game victory, and they're actually going to be going up against it looks like maybe their teammate Potable, wanting to make sure Potable gets another life.
Yeah, I mean, this is the excellent team play that we see here, really weakening that board to allow Potable to be able to stay in this game. Hopefully, I mean, this board's still kind of strong. Taking out 5 multi-striker is a huge part of it, though.
Yeah.
We don't want Enzo to take a giant loss, though. We want to try to keep him around that 1 to 2 life mark. 2 lives would be really preferable for this end game, but it looks like it will be a pretty big loss here. So Enzo putting all of his chips in one bag here, saying, I think I can still win out with 7 multi-striker.
Yeah, actually, if they're kind of putting all of their chips in one bag, wow, okay, that's actually going to be elimination as Li Xiao goes out in 4th. But still, however, Potable or Enzo, one of those 2 need to go first place. And Enzo now is only 1 life remaining. Maybe they think Potable is stronger and that Enzo would have beaten Potable, but that Potable can beat Shelty. That might have been the thought process there in kind of this rock, paper, scissors format. You don't want to be taking out your teammate who can actually clinch out the win.
Yeah, and you don't want it to be too predictable. You want to have both of these teammates able to have the shot to take down Shelty. And so our first matchup here will be Pate Bowl versus Shelty here. That Syndra 3, that Nami 2 in the back line. The front line is not super strong, but lots of Vanguards, lots of CC from these Tahm Kenches, and then the Nami casts as well. But will the Syndra be able to ramp up enough? Will it be enough AP damage just from the attack speed build that is there? The Syndra continuing the cast, but the Syndra on the other side is still quite strong and up. And with it, Pate Bowl falls down.
Pate Bowl falls. Enzo, meanwhile, is going to survive, albeit barely. A lot of these rounds are so close, but it is down to our final two, CLE. Enzo versus Shelty. If Shelty wins, we are going to be going to a game 3, but if Enzo wins, it is going to be a 2-0 victory for branching out.
And Enzo here getting a little bit of burn on this board that he did not have, so they will be heel cut. But on the other side, we see the charm for the target dummies come through.
Yeah, charms do make such a big difference in this late game, but potentially the final round, if Shelty takes out Enzo here, CLE, take it away.
Yeah, look at this crazy positioning on the other side from Shelty, all the way in the corner, using those target dummies to their advantage, dodging the Neela as much as possible. But what really needs to happen is this Kassadin ramps up. Can you get through these crazy frontline units? But will this Syndra be able to ramp up? The positioning helps the team, helps the multi-strikers gather together for the Syndra to absolutely pop off. The Kassadin does fall down, and with it will Enzo, and so we will be going to a game number 3.
Well, Shelty with the masterful positioning, cornering everything, getting the dummies in there just for some more bodies. That was exact.
But will this Syndra be able to ramp up? The positioning helps the team, helps the multi-strikers gather together for the Syndra to absolutely pop off. The Kassadin does fall down, and with it will Enzo, and so we will be going to a game number 3.
Well, Shelty with the masterful positioning, cornering everything, gets what Shelty needed. The Kassadin reroll, the multi-strikers not being able to make it happen. But honestly, such a valiant effort from Enzo in that game to try to, be contested and still go for that lobby win. Super close.
Yeah, and that's something that for our team from Wolves, this is something that they're not unfamiliar with. They've already gone to this game number 3. They felt this pressure, and they delivered one of the best performances of the whole tournament in their game 3 in the first matchup, going 1-2-3-5. And they're really looking to redo that here in this last game. But branching out, that's the first game that they've dropped all tournament.
Yeah. First game that they've dropped. It looks like, they're not all smiles and laughs right now. They're just going to be, having to reassess the game plan there. It almost worked out, but the compositions that are generally getting to that kind of first place threshold are generally led around Syndra, and we didn't really see them happen in this game. As we take a look at the highlights here, right, there was a lot of I guess just going towards this 4-cost style of play. Voltairix did go for that karma, was not able to go out in the or not able to go into the top 4. He was out in 6th place. But yeah, this game just had a lot of very spicy action in it.
Yeah, and a lot of more unique compositions that multi-strikers, specifically with the Warriors as well being rerolled, had a lot of success. Enzo able to pilot that to the top 2, but not quite to where they needed in that top 1 position. Be curious to see how this would have ended up with one more round, not having to sack for your teammate there. Having that one more life could have made a difference, especially being able to see one more charm and have one more spot. We see Pate Bowl fall out there to Shelty, and then the crazy positioning at the end for Enzo to take that final loss and not get the clean sweep, but instead send us to a very entertaining game number 3.
Yeah, it is going to be a complete heater of a matchup here. We see Wolves getting very hyped, clinching out that game. Such a close one, though, and I think it is no surprise that we are going to a game 3, but we will see who's going to be the winner between Wolves Esports and branching out right after this. Don't go anywhere.
The B stream is kicking off today with our winners match, Wolves versus Branching Out. I am joined once again by Shelty. Shelty told me his English isn't very good, so I'm going to keep it very simple. If anything, I should learn Chinese. Shelty, very successful yesterday. Are you feeling confident once again here today?
Wonderful. I think I feel wonderful today.
Good, that's a good feeling to have. Branching Out, your opponents, what do you think of them?
A good rival. I think we can defeat them.
That's great. And did you rest well last night? Did you get some good sleep?
Yeah,
You're ready to go?
ready.
All right, good stuff, Shelty. Thank you so much, and best of luck with your team on the B stream.
لحظات البداية عاشت معنا. كنا نحسبها وقت للتسلية بس. نحسبها بس ذكريات.
عبود أعطي أختك اليد يا ولد.
ابتكرنا فيها ابتكارات، وإذا بغينا قلبناها خرافات. كنا نحسبها بس لمة وصحبة وسهرات.
انتبه نو ترى نو.
لكن كنا نشوف عالم ما حد يشوفه.
ليت يشغل وقته بشيء يفيده.
الله عليك على اليد سود.
عالم كبر وعاش فينا. عالم الحماس فيه يوصلك كل مرة لحلم أصعب، بس ما يصعب عليك. بارد معك وين ما تروح.
Welcome back to game number 3 of the winners match in Group A. We've had some other action in the lower part of our bracket here in Group A. Crowan, Geek Esports has 2-0'd Zeta Division, sending them out of the Esports World Cup.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit surprising, right? Zeta Division fielding title, one of the best players coming out of APAC, right? The previous world champion, but falling in just 2 matches, right? I think that just speaks to the level of competition that everyone here has the potential to go home with that victory, but it all comes down to just those thin margins, right? Geek getting that 2-0, improving upon their yesterday's performance, and now the loser of this series, right, between Wolves Esports and Branching Out has to face Geek, and Geek came off with 2-0, right? They're definitely feeling confident.
Yeah, but they did get 2-0'd yesterday by the team on your screen. Branching out, made quick work of Geeke, sending them to that elimination match. But clearly they learned something and are now back with a vengeance. Tomorrow we will see the decider match between whoever loses this game and Geeke Esports tomorrow. But whoever wins this game moves on automatically to the playoffs.
Yeah, this is a big game 3. Moving on to the playoffs is so much more money, first of all, that you get. So much more confidence being able to just watch everyone else's games, prepare your strategies, and not being under that constant pressure, right? You're getting into the playoffs. You're going to have that top 8 spot already, and just the extra time for preparation, I think, is going to speak volumes for either of these teams. So branching out, they do know that even if they fall, right, they already 2-0 GK, they would be likely to do it again unless some major differences happen in that series, but they don't even want to have to get to that point, right? Branching out did have a very strong game 1. Game 2 was super close. Enzo almost being able to take it home. But as we get into game number 3, this is for that playoff spot.
Yeah, that playoff spot, giving each of these teams an extra $10,000. You go straight from that 5,000 straight to 15,000, and so something that each of them are looking for and has a dollar amount tied to it. This game, this single game of TFT is worth $10,000.
You know, not many commentators probably say this, but I actually know exactly how that feels. I've lost a game 3 in a best of 3 series at a very important tournament before and lost out on literally 10K. So that feels absolutely devastating, and not something these players are going to want to have to, feel themselves. Getting that win in this game 3 is going to be so big for them.
Yeah, I definitely have not competed at those high of stakes before. I did get 4th place in a Mortdog tournament once. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
that's big.
I made some money.
We'd love to see it. All right, you're a pro player then. You made money from a tournament. You're a pro player, Sealy.
I sure did. I have a Liquipedia account and everything.
Let's go. Look at you on the come up. We're going to be seeing CLE, set 12 worlds.
Oh yeah, definitely set 12 worlds for sure. My Hardstuck Emerald 1 is really good for that.
No. Diamond at least very soon, right? After all the stuff we're learning here at the tournament, you're gonna go get some ladder games after this weekend and be like, all right, I'm so dialed in, I'm so locked in. It's gonna be straight to Masters for you.
I wasn't even mad when I was contested on Kog'Maw yesterday. I was like, yeah, this is just what happens in these games. Clearly, this composition it happens sometimes. You just don't go first every game.
Yeah, really, honestly, it just happens. It didn't happen, actually, surprisingly, in the last game. Coco was the only Kog'Maw player, but they still went out in 7th, so maybe that composition is just not cutting it.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of awkward itemization, too, for sure. I want to talk a little bit about this game, looking at silver augments right now, which we've seen a lot here in our games on this stream. Not super impactful, but I want to look at our portal, specifically the overachievers.
Yes, of course. Let's see what this augment selection is going to be. It is Pandora's Bench, right? Wanting those items exactly. Going to be greeting out on that one.
Yeah, I think they want to be able to play Syndra here. It would appear, maybe with these shapeshifters in the front line, but no Syndra early for Enzo means you can't get those stacks early, but wanting to re-roll those items into something pretty cool.
Yep, Pot of Bowl with a Wukong opener. Got a couple of hunters, not usually a synergy that you see online too much. Not leveling to 4 as well, like we see on the opposite side for Serene. And Serene, again, early portal, not too bad. A Sunfire Slam even onto this Vex. Very interesting as we see belts wanting to be saved for Nashers so much.
Yeah, definitely tempo slams happening there. Playing that portal obviously is an early game trait, able to spawn some cool things, maybe even a Krug or 2, but also having some of those bombs do some extra damage. Shelty here, now having that casted in his shop means that 3 multi-striker is online, having pretty good items for that already. Ooh, but Lakoko taking that Pandora's Bench, looking like they might go for reroll options here. Currently rerolling 2 costs. I think they're looking for Syndra.
Yeah, you think so? I think they might be as
maybe.
well. I know it's a pretty crazy prediction to throw out into the into the world here, but yeah, I think they're looking for Syndra as well. The items are a little bit awkward though. You don't have any tiers, nor bows, nor belts. There is going to be that rod, however, so just one bow makes a rage blade, and of course that is a fantastic Syndra item. But on the other side there, right, it is going to be Pandora's items. Wolves has leveled to 4 with 3 out of 4 of their players. Meanwhile, every single branching out member has stayed on level 3.
So they're going for that high econ, maybe back to their roots. I feel like last game they played a little bit higher tempo, rolled a lot on 6 and 7. But in the games that we've seen them win, they've had a lot of success going for that bigger placement by playing a little bit riskier. So they all naturally level to 4 now. We see Volta with that early Syndra, but I believe he's the only one we've seen with Syndra here early, and so possibly uncontested.
Yeah, at least for now, until, of course, the reels come through. Oh, Li Shao has one as well, so we do have at least 2. And the difference is that Li Shao had a good item to slam as well, right? They get this Eldritch online, they have the Elise 2, they have the Shapeshifters for an early front line, and so this is, you know, not quite best case scenario, but very, very close to it.
It sure is for Li Shao, and having that Eldritch here early really helps them stay alive, just stalls longer and longer, gets more of those casts off, gets more of those stacks off, and we'll be able to make 10 gold here as well pretty easily, especially if they win.
Yeah, if they win, they don't have to sell anything, but even losing, right, which they, oh, I don't want to speak too soon. I'll say they will not do, and okay, yeah, that's going to be the case. I didn't know how much that work would be able to accomplish there, but no, 44 stacks in the Rage Blade, a ton of casts, and making 10 gold, 3 win streak. This is looking very, very strong for Li Shao, as, yeah, the HP, all wolves here at the top.
Yeah, looking good going in this carousel, but that also means they will not have item priority for this first carousel, which is so incredibly important, especially for those who are looking for those important mana items for Syndra, some important frontline items, maybe some of those damage items that really shape what they're going to be looking for in the rest of this stage.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Maybe being, you know, at the bottom of the standings, getting those first couple of carousel picks is going to have a lot more value, because if you're getting Syndra all those extra stacks in the early game, that is going to just continuously scale. You're going to reach that kind of critical mass Syndra that nobody can deal with a lot earlier. So maybe with that in mind, branching out in a better position than we might otherwise think.
Yeah, again, talking about that scaling idea, we have Enzo here with a Wukong and a Nashor slammed. It looks like he was kind of posturing towards those multi-strikers again. We do see with 2 Ashes in that backline, with a lot of these items that we've seen slammed on a Kassadin so often, facing off against their teammates. This will determine who will be going for that loss streak. And so slamming some items to maybe not take such a bad loss, but I think that might be enough to get him the win. Possibly. Oh, maybe not quite. It's the 2 stars versus the 1 stars on the other side.
Yeah, the Ash does hit 2 targets, but it's just not going to be enough. The 2 costs are just a little bit better than the Ash, and it looks like on the other side there, Potable was going for a cog reroll, but the decision for Enzo's to not reroll the Nashers and the Bloodthirster really does make me think that he's going to be contesting in this Kassadin. But look at Shelty here, already a Kassadin 2 with the Rage Blade, with the Bloodthirster. Did lose the last round actually, which is kind of crazy. Maybe lost to either Serain or Li Shao, it looks like.
This is, I look at this board, and I if I was in solo queue, I would look at it and think, how in the world could I ever contest this? This guy's spot is infinitely better than mine.
Yeah.
But clearly Enzo's on a mission and will be holding a lot of these units. Maybe that's just the job he has for this game, is weaken one of their players that has this good start.
Wait, why GQF has 5 Kog'Maws already at 2-6? What? That is crazy.
Yeah. That Rage Blade, though, not a great item. It's not bad per se, but definitely not something that you'd prefer on that unit. Another Kassadin coming through here for Shelty. is just continuing to stake his claim in this composition.
I'm actually very surprised that Shelty didn't sell to 20 gold there. I actually don't think that Hecarim 2 is worth 9 gold in the mid game. It doesn't feel like that unit does a lot. It is just good synergies with the Bastion and the multi-striker, of course, but I think you could have gotten away with making extra econ and selling one copy of that, because Shelty is very, very poor right now. Only 20 gold on Krugs. Maybe that golden orb has a lot of gold in it, and it does, so our econ does get saved, fortunately.
Yeah, saved econ is good for a lot of our players. But for branching out, they have lots of gold that they need to roll here. We'll be leveling on 3-2 after choosing our augment, and that will be huge. Oh no, slam a tier.
Oh, one tier? Is
oh no.
Enough? No! Olive Wolf's coming in to thumbs up the BM. Oh no, I love it though.
Dude, Enzo, what happened, man?
Board too weak.
I guess this is often the problem with these neutral rounds. Is like you think, oh, surely this board is strong enough, and then you lose by 1 Krug. It's fine.
Yeah, lose by 1 Krug. It's okay. I forgot that meme existed. Actually, it is okay to lose by 1 Krug. Enzo, you're still in this game. Don't fret.
Who was it? Was that Kiyun? Was that Fanatics Kiyun that said that?
I
can't remember. It was so funny though.
Yeah, I don't know. It might have been DQA. I don't remember. It was so long ago. But that just brought back memories. And hopefully, for Enzo's sake, that meme is actually true.
Loses by 1 Krug. It's fine. I promise it's fine.
Oh dear, not what branching out wants to see though in this very tense game 3 situation, because I could have had a good item component. It could have had some gold. It could have been not -2 HP right from the neutral round. There's a lot of detriment there. Golden Quest, spin to win, sleight of hand being the potential choice here.
A Golden Quest we saw do super well yesterday and absolutely pay off for one of our players. And that will not be the choice for Padebo, even though they do have a lot of gold, but they really need that direction, and they are on contesting Kog'Maw duty as well. And so it looks like they sent 2 of these players into the fire to try and set themselves up for a good game number 3 here. Lots of good upgrades coming through.
Yep. Powerful upgrades, Nunu 2 being a big one there. We have a TG, which just goes on a Jinx 2. And actually, I do like this, I guess, perfecting little quality of this composition. Players are playing Jinx on their board a bit earlier to start, one, stacking the Honeyman, see when Rumble does show up, and 2, going to just give power to that Kog'Maw instead of having the Lilia in for Bastion and Fairy for the Tristana, because the items are still being made for units like the Kog'Maw. Tristana doesn't really provide a lot of value this early on into the game.
Yeah, especially providing Hunter AD as well is pretty powerful. We see it on display here. Just the upgrades coming through that just are able to make that power pretty strong here. For VGQF, having 6 of these Kog'Maws is quite good, but now seeing that you're contested and there's someone on the other side that is actively taking away your units, now that you have a 7th, though, it may be possible to roll all the way to 0 to see what they can get.
Some gold being got there. YGQF just 2 Kog'Maws away from Kog'Maw 3, right? They had that Rage Blade and Giant Slayer, having a tier already ready for that Shojin Slam. Sunfire on the Nunu. There is just 1 copy of Nunu, but the front line is supplemented from that support Golem with the Shroud.
Yeah, as we looked at the items across the lobby, there's only 2 players that don't have a Rage Blade slammed, and one of them wants to have a Rage Blade slammed. And so we see lots of that item in the game. So lots of attack speed based champions in to set 12 that love having that Rage Blade. But for Padebo on the other side, it's looking like they're chilling. They now have a few more of those Nunus on bench and a lot more gold than their contester on the other side. But the thing they're missing is those Kog'Maws.
Yep, missing the cogs. Coco here still re-rolling. A lot of 2 costs there with that Pandora's bench. Enzo takes a loss, drops 53 HP. Meanwhile, at the top of the lobby, it is Li Xiao and Volta.
And the thing is, we saw on Enzo's board, he's currently carrying Hecarim. Hecarim has the items that we would prefer to be on this Kassadin, but without a Kassadin, I don't know where you're supposed to put him.
Yeah, without a single Kassadin, like I know Enzo, you're on grief duty, but you actually have to like do the griefing part, right? You gotta pick up those Kassadins. Maybe you'll find one soon, but yeah, being on 30 gold. Coco on just 1 gold though, very, very poor.
I mean, both of these players are kind of lost here, and so needing to find more of these upgrades here, finding a few of them for Enzo, and being able to slot in 5 multi-striker now is quite a big power spike. I'm curious to see if we actually go with this Hecarim carry. It's not something that I've ever seen.
There's no. I mean, like, okay, there might be a way, but
Titans?
like, there's no way. The Titans would, I guess, be just for the Akali later. But I just don't know here. Hecarim is not a good unit. I don't think he cannot carry. It's not possible. If Hecarim wins this round, I mean, okay, I'll be surprised actually. I'll commit to it. He is theoretically doing damage.
You know, I'm in the camp I'm down. I'm down to see if this actually does anything. We see it die pretty quickly there to the Kog'Maw, which Kog'Maw survives. An important win for VGQF. Li Xiao and Voltarius also at the top of this lobby. Volta we see on the other side. I would love to see more of his POV with the Gambler's Blade, which gives lots of AP and attack speed, with the Rage Blade, with the Sojin. So this Syndra is going to be incredibly powerful.
Yes, that is fantastic. Even breaking Li Xiao's win streak, Li Xiao now hitting the Syndra too. But Gambler's Blade, we were talking about that yesterday because it is just so powerful with not only the attack speed it provides, but the gold generation is massive as well. Volta has a Nami on the bench, is going to be in a solid spot to level up to 8, right? Is maybe a little bit poorer than we would want to be on average here. But looking at the top there with Li Xiao, right? Li Xiao's just at 4 gold. Pot of Bowl is at 52 gold. But Wolves, besides for Serene, is not in a good spot economically.
Yeah, Volta's probably the only one that's kind of feeling pretty good about their spot, it seems, in this game because of that Syndra, the amount of power that comes from there. Enzo continuing to lose here, down to below 40 HP here in stage 3 is not the best place to be.
Yeah, rolling the artifact handful as well. It rolled onto the talisman. Hopefully, I don't even know what artifact he's looking for, but hopefully hits a good one and hits it soon. Li Xiao going for this reroll style, going with the shapeshifter Syndra, hitting a pair of Nasus there. But
yeah, Nasus is one of the premier frontliners in this set. Just does so much to be able to steal resources from the other team for himself, as well as make his power strong with those shapeshifters as well. For Shelty, though, we still are only on these 5 Kassadins, so the roll down here will be incredibly important for the future in the game for them.
Let's see what this roll down does bring. At least we'll roll down to 50, right? Let's see if Shelty actually feels that pressure to roll a bit farther, skipping out on the Syndras and all of those Honeymancer units, right? Don't want to grief their teammates at all, even with picking them up temporarily. The roll down does not give much. And there is going to be a Runance here to put onto the Ashe. Not terrible, but nothing great here for Shelty either.
Yeah, Shelty and Enzo sitting at the bottom 2 spots in this lobby. Both of them needing to hit something, but for Shelty here, just waiting for a possible augment to bail him out. Might need to go level 7, put in 7 multicaster or something like that. But nothing to write home about on this board.
Definitely not. Can this Kassadin do enough? It is into the back line, does find its way towards that Syndra, so it will be a round win for Shelty versus Li Xiao. Li Xiao taking in yet another loss, and if Volta wins, will still be at the top of the standings, and yes, he does, as we get to 4-2, so a lot of action happening, as that is a very fast support golem being selected with a Randuin's, which is not bad for this multi-striker board.
Shelty with the roll down now at the 7th Kassadin, needing 2 more of these units in order to upgrade it to 3-star. Also close on these Akalis, as you call out. Rolling to 20 gold and not continuing past there.
Yeah, I think that's the correct decision. Also going to be swapping some items over. Rage Blade is not the item of choice for Shelty's Cassin, is going to be the Nashers, as we get the Rage Blade over to that backline carry. We have extra copies of Ash as well as we wait for a Callista to come through. But Volta, the front line isn't even very good for Volta. It's not going to be anything spectacular, just these 1 cost and 2 cost units upgraded. It is Mordekaiser 1, but Volta still has a lot of economy that's able to utilize here.
Yeah, I think the power is coming from 4 Vanguard alongside this Syndra that has obviously been stacking for a lot of the game. But this Fiora 2 is going to be incredibly hard to take down. This red buff, though, doing a lot of work to reduce the healing. So Volta looking to continue the winning ways even against this 4-cost level 8 board that had that roll down semi-successfully, but will be on that 7-round win streak with lots and lots of gold, now 8-round.
Yeah, that's actually pretty bad, I think, for Wolves. That Serene was so insanely rich, rolled it down, and still losing, right? They're rolling it down even more, but I don't think any upgrades are coming through from him. We're going to have to check that out in a little bit, but yeah, Li Xiao right now, and now YGQF is hitting a little bit. Kog'Maw 3 came through, but very, very far away from any other upgrades, and not that much gold left in the bank.
Yeah, half the battle with that board is upgrading some of that front line. We do have the Cassidin 3 come through, still 2 off that Akali 3. But Cassidin 3 is a very large part of the board, and it is now onto that back line of Voltairix on the other side, taking out that Syndra quite early in this fight, looking much, much better for Shelty now in this game.
Yeah, I think that would have been a round win for Shelty either way, but just kind of insult to injury with the Cassin immediately getting to the back line. And this is still a Hecarim. It's level 7 now. And
this Enzo guy is cooking.
Of Hecarim. He is cooking, but I think he forgot to turn the stove on.
I don't know, man. He's won 3 rounds in a row and is moving up this leaderboard, positioning himself in a place to not go 8th in this lobby. But for branching out, it's looking pretty dire. Lakoko and Pade Bowl both sitting in the lowest 2 spots on loss streaks.
Maybe I'm just a hater. I hate this Hecarim unit, man. I don't think it does anything. But like you said, Enzo was able to win a few rounds in a row. Enzo said, no, I cannot roll for Cassidins. There was already 9 out of the pool. Even with those bag size changes, I'm just so far behind in that regard. I have to make this unorthodox kind of style of multi-strikers work. And so we get to see just how long Enzo is able to hang on for. One of these 3 current bot 4 branching out members needs to find their way into the top 4 and needs to do it soon, because Wolves is looking very dominant in this game so far with all the extra HP that they have across the board.
Yeah, Shelty with that newfound Cassidin 3 and YGQF with that Kog'Maw 3 are both quite powerful. But as we look around the lobby, we see a lot of other 3-stars, lots of people stuck on this level 7 in this game, still rolling for some of those upgrades, maybe level 8, but super poor. We will continue to follow along to see who will be able to separate themselves and push them to the top of this lobby. But right now, it's not clear who's the favorite.
Yeah, Coco rolled down. It can only transform one of these 2-cost units. Needs to find that Rumble 3. Needs to find that Syndra 3. This round's going to be big, but that front line, the shapeshifters, they were so tanky. They bought enough time. Coco takes another loss versus Li Xiao there. And does the Tristana roll into anything? No, just a Cassidin. Yeah, can't even hold on to that pair of Mordekaiser as well. Has to spend all of the gold to re-roll these 2 costs and pray that RNG smiles down upon him.
And the hard part about this is he knows that he has about 2 lives left. So this next roll of the Pandora's Bench will decide his fate in this game. Will he get the upgrades he needs? Will he get that giant frontline upgrade of the Rumble and that Syndra upgraded as well? Thankfully, facing off against his teammate on the other side, who is not too strong at the current moment without that Kog'Maw 3.
Yeah, no Kog'Maw 3. There is the Nunu, but it just has a TG, though. 1 tank item with that Bramble does not do much against the damage of Syndra. Still a lot of HP to get through as it casts one more time. Rumble in the back line now, but it looks like Syndra will be able to clean it on up. but it does, you know, send Pot of Bull down to a dangerously low HP number as well. They could very well be going 7-8 as Enzo's 14 HP too.
Oh no. And the roll does not come to fruition. Has one more chance over this neutral round to get what he's looking for. But this is disaster. Heading into the stage 5, especially where the stage damage goes up. Lakoko, Enzo, and Pade Bull all at 1 life.
Yeah, Coco might be safe on 2 lives, right? As long as he kills most of the board, he can survive. Enzo technically can still survive as well, but going to be very, very hard to do so. A lot of gold coming through here, some components, but maybe this is enough to hit. No hits
gold is
there.
kind of what he needs, though. There's the Syndra here in the shop.
Big.
This Pandora's Bench is absolutely useless for him. Hopefully to find this Rumble on the roll down as well. Another Nami, maybe hitting Nami 2 also on level 7. There is the Rumble. Huge upgrades for Lakoko coming through, and this might be enough to save their game.
Yeah, Warmogs, Declaw potential, Bramble as well, but there's not too much AD in this lobby. Pot of Bull hitting Kog'Maw 3 as well, a big hit, 1 away from Blitzcrank, but still, let's see if it's able to work out versus Volta.
Yeah, and doesn't have that unit to put in at level 7 quite yet. But Volta on the other side knows that this is the matchup he has. And so 3 completed items on his bench. Really good team play happening here. Branching out, realizing the spot they're in, willing to risk some of Volta's HP in order to save themselves in this game. Enzo, though, dropping down, only taking that 1 unit loss, very importantly, though.
Oh, Coco taking a big loss, but drops to 1 HP. Pod Bull did win that round though, but now single-digit HP. It is 1 life territory for all of the remaining branching out members that are not Voltariacs, and this is disaster time. CLE Enzo is rolling for 1 copy of Ash, needs to find it. That would be 7 multi-strikers, but does not hit. This Hecarim is not doing Enzo any favors. The Kassadin 2 is here, and it has some solid items, but this just might be branching out's tournament run going into loser's bracket.
Yeah, and somebody will be dropping out here, and I imagine it will be Enzo. No 7 multi-striker here, carrying a Hecarim and some weird items on this Kassadin. The Kog'Maw doing so much damage and able to take out Enzo in that 8th place is no good for branching out's chances in this game.
Yeah, this is looking very, very dire. The other members of branching out do
be dropping out here, and I imagine it will be Enzo. No 7 multi-striker here, carrying a Hecarim and some weird items on this Kassadin. The Kog'Maw doing so much damage and able to take out Enzo in that 8th place is no good for branching out's chances in this game.
Yeah, this is looking very, very dire. The other members of branching out do take some wins, it looks like, while Serene takes a loss. Oh, we still have a fight going on. With it is going to be YGQF taking a win against Li Xiao. Or no, it was Shelty actually, the other Kassadin player, getting that round win there. Kassadin 3 and Akali 3 now.
The good news is for Lakoko that he was able to take a giant win over one of these Wolves representatives, not sending out branching out in 7th and 8th. So Lakoko in a good spot with that Syndra 3, with that Rumble 3 now to make a big comeback in this game to set themselves up to possibly make it through of this winner's match.
Yeah, 1 HP and a dream. If one of branching out members goes out in 7th, the remaining 2 will need to go exactly 1st and 2nd. And that is a very large task. But first, Coco has to make it through Li Xiao.
These giant shields from that Vanguard Arguments are a huge deal in this board, able to give this Syndra time to ramp up with that Rage Blade. The Nasus goes down, but this 3-item Swain will be very difficult to take down alongside. But it looks like Pade Bull lost on the right side of our screen. No. So that will be a 7-8 for branching out, which means Lakoko needs to turn this into a 1st or a 2nd. And if they survive this fight, which they won't, that means branching out will not advance to the playoffs just yet. They will have to go face GK Esports in the decision match.
Coco out Potable alive.
Oh,
Do you have the charm? Yeah. I guess he had the charm, right? I was like, oh, that Potable is out, branching out lost, but technically not yet. Potable does still have to make a miracle happen and go at least second place. And I'm not sure he can do that with Kog'Maw. I don't want to be like a doomer right now with their technically still be alive, but it's going to need an actual miracle to happen. And level 7 does get all the traits that Potable needs. It is technically winnable on paper.
Yeah, and some pieces of this are coming together. Able to get to level 7 now, finding that Lilia that they need in order to get that nice trait web in. Getting that third item on Tristana is quite good, but across the way we see a giant dragon that would like to say otherwise.
Yeah, giant dragon. Potable going up against this Karma 2, Fiora 2 CLE. Will he be able to take it out?
And the giant 4,000 health dragon from a charm that they clicked in their shop is an absolute menace to this board, and it will be a 6-7-8 for branching out, which means they will not officially now they will not be winning that winner's match. They will be sending themselves down to face GK Esports once again for the chance to go to the playoffs.
They know that they have beaten GK Esports before and they can do it again. However, this is a tragedy. Starting off with that game 1 win, being just a hair away from closing out in 2 games, but losing and then getting absolutely rolled here in game 3. Branching out must be feeling so just terrible with that in mind, right? Voltairix is still alive in this game, but is just kind of playing for fun, for experience at this point. What a tragedy for branching out.
Yeah, I mean, those reverse sweeps never feel good, right? You have that early advantage and you just throw it all away. Sadly, losing game number 2 in a close fight, but then game number 3 being this dominant of a performance. It might even look like Volta could even go in the bot 4 as well with the 1, 2, 3, 4 from Wolves. Their boards are looking quite strong.
Yeah, very strong. Volta has lost a couple in a row. Does have 100+ gold though. Is just going to level up and try to make his board stronger in that way. However, 1, 2, 3, 4 would be such a dominant way to round out this series for Wolves. They are feeling very good now, being the first team to advance into that playoff bracket, being that 3rd seed from China, going the distance in both of their series. So they're playing a lot of TFT this weekend, but it is still at the end of the day going their way.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how dominant these Chinese players are and have been in the history of TFT, just absolutely innovating throughout the sets. Volta, though, level 9 rolling down here for some big upgrades, probably going to be playing some Arcana, getting some big forecast upgrades. That front line is still needing some significant upgrades. Obviously, a lot of the rest of the lobby was re-rolling some of those Vanguards, so it's very difficult for him to find some of them, but they're back in the pool, so upgraded is that front line now, hoping that this can make the difference.
Yeah, swapping out the Vex for the Camille for the Chrono and playing the Nora instead. Could have kept on with that Vex and then played a Xerath instead for that Arcana, like you were mentioning, right? Getting access to all those Xerath charms, just getting that Arcana buff is very powerful. Volta having that Nami tune the upgraded backline as well is super strong. That CC, like, Nami has the best CC of this set by far, right? Especially if she's positioned on the right side.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so incredibly devastating to see that tidal wave come through, especially when, you know, the QSSs and some of those early game resistances wear off. We do see VGQF drop out in 5th place for Wolves, and Saren drop quite low. Not that it matters too much, just for bragging rights of one of these good scores. We will not see the 1, 2, 3, 4.
No 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, you can't check that off with the bingo card. Surely someone made an actual bingo card for this, right? I haven't seen one, but maybe one's floating around out there.
Send it to us. We want to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out on the socials. Make sure to tag us and everything. Shelty with the 7 multi-strikers, trying to find the upgraded Callista, but not being able to make that happen. However, This Cassidy, man, especially with the resistances from that Randuin's, is just such a huge threat.
Even without the QSS, able to do a lot of damage. You see Shelty in the bottom right corner, just relaxing, just hanging out. Li Xiao just joking around with the teammates, knows that this is all over. Saren does drop out. Shelty also will drop out here, and so Li Xiao versus Volta for the final champion of this match. We know that Wolves has taken the win, but would love to take that top spot as well.
Yeah, 1v1 situation. Li Xiao versus Volta. Volta is denying Swains, actually has 4 Swains on the bench, making it all that harder for Li Xiao to hit that Swain 3. But some great positioning with that mentorship augment in mind at that gold tier, buffing the vast majority of the board here for Li Xiao. Having that Radiant Virtue on the dummy as well is a lot of power.
And this could, no, it won't be the last fight. Each of these players has 2 lives in this match. Li Xiao hitting a lot of these big upgrades. That Briar 2 is absolutely massive. Really good items on her as well from that TG with some resistances and that Sterix to give some extra HP alongside 6 Shapeshifter. But it might not be enough. Volta's board has so much power now that he's able to get to that level 9 and get some of those upgrades that he's needed. So he will end that win streak from Li Xiao and try and claim a little bit of victory in this game.
Yeah, Volta's been performing so well this weekend, and while the rest of his team in this game has gone 6, 7, 8, all holding hands down there, Volta still being like, hey, we have some life in us. We brought this series, to match point. We 2-0'd Geeka yesterday. Even though we're being sent to lose this bracket, we can still do that again, and we are still a force to be feared. I think Volta is trying to prove that here while leaving this match with a first place victory.
And this will be the final preparation phase possibly for Li Xiao in this game if they take a bad loss. Positioning the sides correctly here